wet milling your powder. Now, when we first started making powder some years ago, we did some experiments with wet milling, and overall, we abandoned it pretty quick because it just didn't work out for us. Now, we were pretty green then, and there was a lot we didn't know. We've learned a lot since then. And the first time we tried it, the solvent we used was water.
Not a great plan.
Which, of course, is dumb because as the water evaporates, the nitrate leaches out of the charcoal and sulfur mixture and recrystallizes. So we found we had to dry mill it after it had dried. We had to dry mill it. And so that didn't work out. And then the next time we tried it, we used, I think it was 70 some odd percent isopropyl alcohol. And that didn't give us very good performance either. So ever since then, we've just stuck to dry milling, and it's worked out pretty well for us. But lately, what we've been looking for is, well, basically a shortcut. Now, we've found that you can get decent results if you mill your powder for 24 hours, but you can get really bitchin' results the longer you mill your powder. Somewhere around 36 or 48 hours, we find will turn mediocre powder into really bitchin' powder. So what we were looking for is a way to shorten up the mill time. And so I was talking to some folks that actually use the wet mill method and thought maybe we should give it another try. Now, for a lot of years, I thought the solvent that would be appropriate would be something, I don't know what that something is, that all three components would dissolve in. The nitrate, the sulfur, and the charcoal would dissolve in. But this one fellow was telling me that you don't want that at all. What you actually want is a solvent that neither of all three of the components would dissolve in. And one of those is denatured alcohol. Okay, I got denatured alcohol. I could try that. Another one was acetone, which I have a lot of because I use it for paint thinner, basically for cleaning my paint guns. But acetone melts PVC. And since all of my ball mill containers are PVC, that wasn't going to work. So we went with denatured alcohol. So for this particular test, I used cottonwood charcoal at a ratio of 77:13:10 because I've been using a lot of cottonwood. It performs excellent, especially over 24 hours. Well, dry mill anyway. So I have a good baseline to compare it to. And I made up a 200 gram batch, like I do with all of my test batches, are 200 grams. And I poured out, I believe it was 8 ounces of denatured alcohol. I threw it in my ball mill. By the way, this is a ball mill that does not have lifter blocks. This is one of our smooth mills, which for dry milling, I am not a big fan. I think lifter blocks are totally the way to go if you're dry milling. I can't say about wet milling just yet. So I mixed up a 200 gram batch, poured it in there, poured out 8 ounces of denatured alcohol, poured it in there, ran it on the mill for a minute, opened it up and looked at it and thought it was way too wet, too watery. And so I mixed up another 100 grams of powder, poured it in there, ran it for a few minutes, looked at it again and thought it still looked too watery. And so I mixed up another 100 grams. So I had a 400 gram test batch. And we ran it for 12 hours. After 12 hours, I split it in half and I ran the other batch for another 12 hours. So we have 2 batches, a 12 and a 24 hour. Now, one of my issues with the wet milling process so far is it takes a lot of time for it to dry. So the way I did it is I poured my stuff into a metal pot and you could set it in the sun, but I found that having some air move across it actually worked out pretty well. It evaporated that alcohol a lot faster. So I put it in front of one of my big fans. And after a few hours, then you could set it out in the sun. But just because I wanted it as dry as I can get it, we put it in our vacuum chamber. Now, I understand this is not something that most people probably have, but we do have a vacuum chamber that we use for keeping powders and nitrate and all that other stuff as dry as we possibly can. And so we vacuumed it for 4 or 5 hours, and then we let it sit overnight under vacuum to get it as dry as possible. After that, the next morning, I put it in the dry mill and ran it just for an hour just to fluff it up. And then I wetted it and compressed it to a density of 1.75 grams per cubic centimeter. We broke it up into 3F and sorted it, and then we glazed it like all of the other stuff. But we have, again, just so we're all on the same page, 2 batches, a 12-hour and a 24-hour wet mill batch. And here's how it went. Oh, and by the way, before you start leaving me comments saying, where's the Garmin? Where's the Garmin? The Garmin will make its debut in this video in the later part when well, don't worry. You'll see it in a minute. Okay, so this is our wet mill powder. This is the 12-hour wet mill, and it's cottonwood at a ratio of 77-13-10, and it's milled in denatured alcohol. All right?
Yep.
Well, here's shot number 1. $16.41.
Yeah, I had a feeling it was going to be something
Hey,
like
you
that.
know what, though?
That's not bad, though.
All right, shot number 2. $16.32. Okay.
All right. It'll be interesting to see how the 24-hour stuff does.
It will be, won't it?
That's still not bad powder. That's on par with GoX.
Yeah, that's pretty much GoX, I think.
Yeah. And the
But
downside...
again, that's what we got when we dry milled the cottonwood for 24 hours. It was like 16.25 or
yeah,
something
yeah,
like
it was on par with GoX.
Yep.
In one batch.
All right, shot number 3. $16.10.
Yeah.
There you go. So here's shot number 4. $16.46. Okay, so this milled wet for 12 hours is the same as milled dry for 24. A little bit more crunchier.
Oh yeah.
It actually looks basically the same as
GoX.
GoX would, or the cottonwood when we did the 24-hour mill. Okay, wow. I bet you the 24-hour wet mill stuff will be better.
I'd hope so.
Well, okay, you're right. I would hope so too.
Yeah.
We'll find out in a minute. All right, so this is our 24-hour wet mill. This is cottonwood at a ratio of 77-13-10. Now we'll see how it does compared to the 12-hour stuff. Oh. $16.32.
Really? That's not very hot at all.
That's practically the same.
Yeah.
Huh.
In fact, the 12-hour stuff did actually have a 1632.
All right, shot number 2 with the 24-hour wet mill. Oh, you hung on me. That was terrible.
It did.
1636.
Wow.
Huh.
It's the same.
That's the same.
It's the damn same.
Isn't that odd?
That is.
I wonder if that...
Why the hell is that?
I wonder if it's a mill efficiency issue.
That's the only thing I could think of.
Because if we mill cottonwood for 48 hours, we can get into the 1800s.
Yeah. Dry mill.
Dry mill, thank you. Where the 12-hour wet mill performs the same as the 24-hour dry mill.
Yeah.
That is really interesting.
That is. Interesting.
Okay, shot number 3. 1622. Seems super consistent.
Yeah. Very, very low spread. Man. I am depressed. What a bummer. I was really hoping it'd be like, yeah, man, this wet mill stuff is going to be like 17.
Yeah, I was thinking it's like, oh man, we're going to pick up 100-something feet per second.
Yep.
It's like, no, it's exactly the same. In fact, it might end up being a tad bit slower. Boy, that bounce really bothers people when I do that. You wouldn't believe how many
Really?
Oh, yeah, I get comments from people all the time that are like, what are you doing? That's not how you do it. You're deforming your ball. You'll never be able to hit anything. Shot number 4. $16.10. Is that what it was last time?
No, I think it had a 16-12. Wait, you mean the shot right before?
The shot before, was it?
No, it was like
16-10?
16-27.
Huh. That's
a bummer.
That's odd. I was really expecting it to pick up 100 feet per second or something.
I was expecting it to pick up something, even if it was only 50 or 75.
It didn't pick up anything. In fact, it might have averaged out a little bit slower.
Yeah.
All right. It's just as crunchy.
Yeah.
I don't think it's any cleaner. It looks exactly the same as the 12-hour stuff. Huh. That is odd.
Yeah, that is odd.
I was really expecting it to be
I
faster. I figured with another 12-hour worth of mill time, it would pick up.
Exactly.
Would pick up velocity. Huh.
So there's a difference between wet mill and dry mill. Dry mill, you can mill it longer and you will pick up speed. But wet mill seems to kind of cap out.
It might be a mill efficiency thing, though.
That's what I mean.
In the same regard as how, it's like, look, I know that this much media and 200 grains of powder will get me X amount at a certain time, at a certain speed.
Yeah.
Because like we usually run that at 2 on the tread ball mill. But with this, it's like, run it faster, run it slower. Don't mill as much, mill more. It could just be a mill efficiency thing.
Yeah, we haven't actually found
because
the best, the most efficient speed. And
when you pack your ball mill full of media and full of powder to where it won't move, you could turn it forever and it won't get anywhere.
Exactly. And it might be the same thing with this.
Yeah. Okay, so we're going to shoot the paper target. This is the 24-hour wet mill Cottonwood 7713-10 batch. Well, I don't have a good feeling about that one.
There we go.
That felt better.
That was right next to it. That just made that hole bigger.
I like the sound of that.
Yeah. Oh, bro.
Isn't that strange? That dude was just talking about breaking your ramrod. And what happens? My ramrod breaks.
You jinxed yourself, or he jinxed you. Right there. What a jip.
Damn it. See, I'm all that chucking my ramrod.
After 5,000 rounds, it finally breaks.
Finally goes. All right. Last one.
Beautiful.
I can see that from here.
Oh, yeah?
Let's go have a look.
All right.
Well, hot damn.
So there's that first one.
Yeah, that one was low, and I knew that was the first shot. I got off to a bad start, but I think
that's pretty.
I think I got with the program with the other three right there.
Yeah, that's good.
That's pretty bitchin', if I do say so myself. You know, minus that one right there. All right, so we've got our 44 cal Navy loaded up with 25 grains of our 3F 24-hour wet mill powder, and it's actually 25 grains, I checked. And we'll see what it does. .653. .653 again. Ah!
Oh no!
Wasn't expecting that.
Yeah.
I'm too close to this thing, I bet you. .671. Error. Ah, too bad.
Why don't you put another cap on that one, huh? Here, let's back up some.
Ready?
Yep.
.661. Yeah. Pretty lame. All right, so I have a full chamber worth of powder, which should be around 30 or 35 grains of our 24-hour wet mill in a round ball. Let's see if we can get one number off of it just for sport. .891. Yeah, that's a lot more. That's a lot more like it.
That's better.
All right, so that seemed rather odd to us. The reason why it seemed odd is because there was no difference in performance between the 12-hour batch and the 24-hour batch. And no, I did not get them mixed up and do the 12-hour batch twice, because I even stopped and made sure that I didn't, because that's what I thought was going on at first. And the reason why that is odd is that is completely opposite of everything we have observed with dry milling powder. The longer you mill it, the better it will get. Of course, after you get to 72 hours or whatever, you will reach a point of diminishing return. But the difference between 12-hour dry mill and 24-hour dry mill will be huge. The difference between 24-hour dry mill and 48-hour dry mill will be huge. And we've tested that with this powder. For example, the 24-hour dry mill powder averaged 1625. The 48-hour dry mill powder, again, cottonwood, same ratio, averaged 1820 something. It picked up 200 feet per second. So the wet mill batch that we made here had no improvement at all between 12 and 24 hours. Sorry, it just creeped me out. Thought the commies were sneaking up behind me. So again, that was really odd. Now, one of the things that I wanted to do was to see if it's an issue with the solvent. Is the solvent sucking some life out of it? And the reason why I was thinking this is some years ago, when we were trying to make cleaner burning black powder, we experimented with what we called washing the charcoal. So we took our charcoal and we washed it and vacuum filtered it with water, alcohol, DCM, a couple other solvents. And every time we did that, we had powder that would run 17 and change. And any powder, again, same ratio, same everything, but with the washed charcoal, it would be in the 15s, sometimes lower. So I thought maybe the solvent is sucking some life out of the powder. So what I did is I ended up consolidating the two batches because there was no difference in performance. So I took some of that powder and I set it aside, just a little bit of it. And I took the rest of it and I threw it back in our dry mill and I ran it for another 24 hours. And again, the reason why I did this is because if it improves by dry milling it, then it's an incorporation issue. If it doesn't get any better after another 24 hours worth of dry milling it, then I'm losing something by using denatured alcohol. So this is where the Garmin shows up. Now, the last time we were trying the wet mill powder, I broke my ramrod.
Yep.
Just like all those people told me I would from chucking it all the time. So, I ordered a new one. And it got here yesterday, and so Derek and I put it together, but we didn't have enough time to fit it to my rifle, so sorry it looks cheesy, but that's the way it's going to be. So here is shot number 1 with our 24-hour wet mill powder, and again, we've already tested this with the old chronograph, so we'll see how it does, if it does at all with the new one here. Shot number 1. 1600. That's a good sign.
That's good.
Okay, yeah, 1600. That's about where the other one was. I think it was 16.
Yeah, 16 and change.
25,
yeah.
1630, something like that. Wow, that just read like it's supposed to.
Yeah.
Isn't that cool?
That's awesome. All right, because you can't put it back on the gun.
Yeah, and it feels different.
Yeah.
It just, I know that might seem strange, but it feels different. All right, shot number 2. 1631. Okay.
That's right about on par with the old one.
That's, yeah.
But smoke does not interfere.
Well, not yet anyway. Don't jinx me.
Okay, okay. I take it back.
That's okay. We'll get one more number off there, and if it's pretty close, we'll move on to the other stuff. The wet mill, dry mill batch.
Yeah, that's right, yeah.
My ramrod leaning against the post. How lame.
It's your fault you didn't bring the other one in. We could have fixed it up yesterday.
Well, I could have brought my rifle in. We could have just fitted it at the same time,
that's
but...
what I'm saying. But no.
I don't have that kind of time. All right, shot number 3 with the wet mill powder. 1633.3.
That's beautiful.
Okay, so, wow, it gives me all the info right there. That's really bitching. That stuff averaged 1621.7. It even gives me it in tenths. Wow. I think I'll just round up and call it 1622, which I think is right about where the other one was. 1625,
yeah, it was 1625.
Something like that.
Yeah.
Well, it sure is bitching that it just reads. That's cool.
It reads fast, too.
Does it?
Oh, yeah.
By the time I look down, it's already there.
Oh, yeah. It only takes 1.5, 2 seconds for it to analyze the shot. It's like analyzing shot, and before it even gets to a full circle, bink.
Okay.
All right. Well, let's swab it.
We'll try the dry, wet mill and then dry mill stuff. We have our wet mill batch, and again, this is the same powder that we brought back and milled dry for 24 hours, and then compressed and did all that stuff. Now we'll see if it doesn't pick up any performance, because again, the whole thing about this that we find strange is there was no performance difference between 12-hour and 24-hour, which
wet.
is, yes, wet, thank you,
Wet.
which is the opposite of what would happen if it was dry.
Yeah.
Because the difference between 12 and 24-hour dry mill is
usually 100 plus.
Significant, yeah. My goofy ramrod. I guess today it's a range rod.
Oh, yes. It's a range. Yes, exactly. It's a range rod that's not metal.
I don't think there's any rule that says a range rod can't be made of wood.
Yeah. I thought that was part of the. I thought that was one of the lessons from the Hogwarts school of black powder witchcraft and wizardry?
You know, I think I was absent that day.
Oh, okay.
All right, so here's shot number 1 with the wet mill, dry mill powder. $16.47. Oh no, it's not really any better.
No, it's not.
Wow, that's unfortunate.
That's a bummer.
That's a bummer.
I think it's.
So what is it?
I think it's something.
What is it about the wet mill that okay. Is it because we're using denatured alcohol? Is it the solvent we're using?
It might be, because it's got a 0.5% or so of that heptane or hexane that denatures it. And I don't know if that might be having some weird...
Hey, I wanted to use gasoline just like DuPont said. Oh no, I lost my flint.
Oh, you did?
Yeah.
Oh, man.
Kind of like when we tried the charcoal washing. Remember that?
Oh, yeah. God, we washed it with everything.
Yeah, we tried distilled water. We tried methane.
We tried
methanol.
We tried methanol. We tried ethanol.
Yeah, we tried
pure
all kinds of
ethanol,
stuff.
Isopropyl alcohol.
And the moral of
DCM.
the moral of the story was, if you washed your charcoal like that, it sucked the power right out of it. It took the starch right out of its underwear. In fact, I remember it being in the 15s.
There was one batch that we did. I think it was alcohol, or maybe it was DCM that we washed it with. That it was in the 14s.
It was in the 14s.
It was in the 14. Yeah, 14s.
All right, well, here's shot number 2 with the wet dry mill stuff. That felt better.
17.
Okay.
All right.
That's way wider of a spread than I
Yeah.
would hope to get, but it's okay. That's why we do this stuff. You know, for science and stuff.
Science.
Well, our new chronograph sure seems to be working bitchin'.
Yeah, it hasn't skipped on us once.
No, and we were able to purchase that all because of the viewers. So thank you guys very much.
Yep.
We really appreciate it. Especially because it seems to work so well.
The new Garmin Chrono, brought to you by viewers like you.
Yeah. There was like a little ditty that went along with that, wasn't there?
Yeah.
Or maybe it was just a tune. All right, shot number 3 with the wet mill, dry mill stuff. That felt better too.
1705.
All right. Okay, it's not...
So it did pick up.
It's not as it's not as bad as I was.
We didn't quite gain a whole 100 feet per second, but it
No.
did pick up.
No, let me just take a couple more shots here and we'll just see what it
Yeah.
is.
Get a bigger sample
That
size.
first one being kind of low like that was
Yeah, disappointing.
concerning. Still not used to that.
That's all right, we'll fix it.
Okay, I'm pretty sure this is shot number 4, yeah? Does it tell me?
Yeah, it does.
Yes, we've taken 3 shots so far.
That's even cooler.
That's cool too. I don't have to count anymore.
Yeah.
Dang, it's in. 1696. Let me do one more.
All right, yeah.
Maybe that first one, maybe I shorted it a little bit or something. Because those last 3 shots are real consistent.
Yeah. Yeah, quite literally within 7 feet per second. That's
Yeah.
good.
Okay, so it did pick up.
Yeah.
It did pick up.
I was
So, okay,
hoping
it's not quite as bad as I was thinking initially.
Yeah, it did pick up. I was hoping we were going to get 100 plus, but it looks like we're at about 70 or 80.
75, 80-ish,
Yeah.
maybe, something like that.
Yeah.
no, you don't.
Gonna lose another, huh?
This flint is for my my Fowler. It's a little on the big side.
Yeah.
That's okay. Just got to hang in there a little bit more. Just a couple more shots. Well, one for this anyway.
Yeah.
All right. There we go. Felt pretty good. 1721. Okay.
Okay, so that's about 100. Because the other stuff was 1622.
Not quite. So.
Well, the average was.
So our average, 1694. That was our average.
Okay, so we picked up like 70.
So if it wasn't for that one first shot at 1647, which I might have shorted. I might have shorted a little bit. Because all the other four shots are super tight.
Yeah.
All within, 25 feet per second of each other. Okay. All right, so it did pick up.
Yeah.
It did pick up.
Picked up a good 70 plus feet per second.
At least.
On average.
That's if you count that one low shot at the beginning.
Yeah.
Which I might just throw that one out.
Okay.
In fact, maybe I will. Yeah.
Yeah.
There. I just made a command decision. Oh, there's my flint.
Told you they never go far. Well, not usually.
I've lost shit right in front of me. How far didn't have anything to do with it. That thing is bitchin'.
Isn't it?
That is bitchin'. That's bitchin'. Thank you, guys. I appreciate that very much.
Yeah,
Thank you.
damn.
All you had to do was sit through us struggling through it after video after video.
Yeah, for 2 years.
No, it's longer than 2 years.
It's been, yeah, wait, we've been at this for 4?
I think we've been doing this 4 years.
For 4?
Oh, yeah. Okay. Bitchin'.
Man, what an upgrade.
Okay, so I guess that begs the question, why didn't we get any improvement between 12 hour and 24 when we wet milled it?
I'm telling you,
why?
I think it has something to do with that
The solvent we're using?
Yeah, I think it has something to do with the solvent.
Because then we mill it dry for 24 hours, compress it again, glaze it like we would, and we pick up almost 100 feet per second.
Yeah.
After we discount that one shot, it'll probably be close to 100 feet per second.
Yeah.
Well, let me swab this really quick then.
All right.
That is bitchin'.
Isn't it though?
That is bitchin'.
Man, that is kick-ass.
Not horrible.
Yeah, let me see.
Not horrible. It's not balsa clean or anything, but definitely not horrible at all.
Yeah, that's totally tolerable.
Yeah.
100%.
That was 5 shots. I was still loading easy. No problem at all. Okay, so what I think this means is the way I was wet milling that stuff is really inefficient. At least, I think that's what it means. I think what it does show is the solvent is not the issue, because if it didn't get any better after I dry milled it for 24 hours, then I would say that the solvent does something to it. It leaches some chemical or hydrocarbon out of it, and it just makes lame powder. But that doesn't seem to be the case. But the thing that I still don't understand, if it is a mill efficiency issue, is I was able to get the same velocity with 12 hours of wet milling, where it would take 24 hours of dry milling to get the same 1625. But for whatever reason, after 12 hours, it did not get any better. Now, maybe it wouldn't get any better after 6 or 8 or 10 hours. I don't know yet. But why wouldn't it get any better after having it run for another 12 hours in the wet mill? That is really, really bizarre. So if there's anybody out there that uses the wet mill method, can you give me some pointers? Because I don't know what to think about that. Maybe I didn't have enough media. Maybe I used too much powder. I guess maybe 400 grams worth of powder is too much. One of the things that Derek and I were noticing when we were first getting it going is it looked like if you're going to do it wet, you could do a lot more powder in one of those containers that we use. But again, why wouldn't it not get any better milling longer? That seems really odd to me. So if there's anybody out there that wet mills stuff that has any numbers or any ideas, I'm open to suggestions. So as usual, folks, if you thought this video didn't suck, do me a favor and hit the like button, consider subscribing, and if you did think it sucked, go make your own damn video.